Hi and welcome to this walkthrough to Vahana VR. We assume here that you are using a 6 GoPro setup such as Freedom 360 or 360 Heroes. Before we go to Vahana VR, make sure you have all the material you need. You can check on our support forum what precisely you need to make it work for your specific needs. I will go over some essentials if you want to make everything work. So the first thing you need are Magewell capture cards with HDMI inputs. Here we'll connect the HDMI cables to the GoPros. If you want to connect an external device to Vahana, we'll use here in this case Optimus Shogun, and we'll connect it with the DeckLink SDI output of the computer. You want to make sure all the GoPros are in the same settings. You also want to make sure you have 6 USB to micro USB cables to make sure that the battery don't run out. Then you will need a USB hub for the power supply. So now we can go to Vahana VR. So the first thing we'll do when we open Vahana VR is create a new configuration. So you first want to edit the inputs. You'll get the HDMI inputs. You want to select them all, though there are too many. Then check the second settings, the parameters. So now you have too many. You can see which ones are missing and then deselect them. Then you want to crop the image, because this I'm now putting it in the setting 1440. You'll have a 4:3 image in a 69 frame. So you want to delete the blacks basically, so it won't show up in the image. So you can clearly see top, bottom, left, right to crop it. So now the inputs are cropped. So we can now create our 360 panorama by going to the calibration tool. Vahana will create a template for your video by connecting similar details in the images together with so-called control points. So the next thing now is we'll orientate the video so everything looks straight by the orientation tool. You can also put on the grid. The next thing is exposure compensation. If you have a static image, you can just do adjust here. There's also an option for applying the exposure continuously. You can now access the output and interactive view to preview the spherical video. You can now go to the configuration. Here you have 3 options. This is the panorama configuration on what you see on the output. Then you have the calibration, where you can apply calibration from PTGui, for example. Then here you have 4 options for the outputs. So the first option is to configure an HDD file output, which means you can record what you see live. You can choose where you put your file and choose the codec and the output format. So the second option for live video streaming is RTMP, Real-Time Messaging Protocol, broadcasting. RNT broadcasting allows you to stream videos directly to your media server of choice using an internet connection. The media server, typical as CDN solution, then takes care of distributing the video optimized for the various viewing platforms. The required bitrate for the video when the camera is static is 2000 kilobyte for a 2K video and 8000 kilobytes per second for a 4K video. You also want to match the frame rate in Vahana with the display output frame rate. So the third option is to add the Oculus view. You can just add this and then activate it when you're in the output. The fourth option is to have an SDI output for an external device, like we use the Atomos here. Then you want to select the display mode in the same setting as the capture frame rate and the resolution of the panorama, which here is 1080p at 30 frames per second. So now if you go back to the output, we can see that the symbols are added from the configuration outputs. To activate one of the configurations, you just click on the symbol. Like for example, if we add here now the SDI, you can see on the screen that I'm holding the Optimus and it's activated since now. You can also deactivate it by clicking on it again. So this is it for this tutorial. If you have any more questions, check our support forum. So thank you for listening and see you next time.